Welcome to this week's Endurance for Everyone podcast.
The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Though the hosts of this show are certified Ironman coaches, their attempts at long-course triathlons and endurance events should not be taken as an endorsement for you to do something stupid too. You should make your own bad decisions, then podcast about it. Now, let's start the show.
Hey, this is John Harris.
And this is Rob Bozovich.
And Endurance is for Everyone, and this is the Endurance for Everyone podcast.
Hey, John, how's it going down south?
Well, let me tell you how it's going down here, Rob. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
47 degrees yesterday. Well, actually, it was about 44 degrees before the bike ride yesterday. And today, it's 78 degrees right now.
Do you hear that, John? That sounds like the world's smallest violin playing the world's saddest song.
But you know what? I mean, at least it's hard to tell you this, I know, but at least when it gets cold up there, it stays cold, right? You don't get like 3 days of sub-freezing temperatures because it got down in the 20s here, and then 2 days later, it's 78 degrees.
Not that crazy, but I mean, when I say it's all relative, and it is, so a couple years ago, we had a sustained, negative 17. Like, that's not wind chill. That's like, you look at the thermometer, it says negative 17.
Okay.
Like, you go start your car, and it's like an 80s movie, like, boom, and it starts, and you do a little fist pump because you're like, yes! you actually thought it wasn't going to start. So after several days of that, and then, whenever it swings up to, and I'm using air quotes, just 17 degrees, and you're like, oh man, it feels nice out here. Like today, as a prime example, and it's funny, you were saying that because today, I mean, okay, I went for my run yesterday, and it was, just pants, shirt, jacket, gloves, beanie, and I was sweating pretty decent in that, and it was, I don't know, 15, 20 degrees. Today was 40, and it was just, I did wear tall socks, compression, just because I wanted to wear them. Gym shorts, a very light T-shirt, the same jacket, but it was unzipped 3/4, and I had the gloves on so my fingers didn't get cold at first, and they ended up in my pockets eventually. Ball cap. Mm-hmm. So like you would probably have several extra more layers on and are upset with it being 40, and at 40 degrees here, it's like, oh, excellent. I'm running outside and in less clothes. It felt great.
But I will tell you, like during Croom a few weeks ago, it was 27 when we started, and when the sun came out, I mean, it was in the 30s and 40s, and it felt actually pretty good. Now, I did have gloves.
Sun and no wind is awesome.
Yeah,
but
it was.
If that sun goes away and you catch a bit of a breeze, that temperature changes. It feels like it changes quickly on you.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a very comfortable run for me. I wasn't cold, and I thought I would be, but once I got moving, I was fine. Yep. So, I mean, that's how it is down here in Florida. I mean, just so everybody, this is episode 106 of Endurance for Everyone, by the way. Just so everybody knows that, when Rob and I connect to do the show, we don't just start recording right away. So everybody can be calm that we spent 35 minutes, 40 minutes before the show started recording, solving all the world's problems.
We did.
So by tomorrow, everything's going to be fine. So rest easy.
You're welcome.
The only better thing that can happen today is that the Jaguars beat the Patriots, and we don't have to watch the Patriots in the Super Bowl again.
Well, unless you're a Vinny Tortorich fan and listen to his yesterday, show, because he was interviewing a Patriot.
Oh, great.
I missed the name. I missed half of it because, once again, I was on my little thoughts fuming in my brain, and so I only really halfway listened to it. But, I mean, pretty much the same thing, He's a okay player, doesn't get drafted, goes to the Bengals, gets traded there, and is doing amazing things. Go him.
It seems to happen a lot with the Patriots. They have a knack of picking people off others' trash heaps and making them superstars.
Something in the water.
Yeah, well, it's the coaching. And I totally agree with that, is that Belichick is just a good coach. And I don't think that I think the Patriots are going to go into a deep dive when he finally retires, which hopefully is after this year.
I hesitate to admit 3 things, and all of my Steeler friends will go ahead and divorce me for this. There was a brief time, and this goes back though 20 years maybe, where I was rooting for the Patriots. Like, when you're coming into your own and you're like kind of like picking who you want. This is way back before any of this stuff that's currently going on, and they just seem like a good team. You know what I mean? Like, back then they seemed to have some good fundamentals, and I'm like, I could cheer for them. And then I don't know why I kind of just like faded away. No. And then, like I said, I've always been a laundry fan of the Steelers. I can't tell you the current lineup. Right now there isn't one. But anyways, I can't tell you who's on the team. I can't tell you the stats. This many yards. Well, I'll flip it on and I'll cheer for it. And that's why I say the other part that really would pain me to say it. Here in Southwestern, I'm not there now, but when I grew up, Southwestern PA, rivalry runs deep. We hate the Ravens, and we have great rivalry with the Bengals, and just feel bad. How do you have 3 rivalries, right? But you feel, you hate the Browns, but then you kind of start feeling bad for them. But honestly, that being said, it's like over the last few years, like. Baltimore's had a pretty solid team. Like, we all feel when the rivalry will heat up any game, period. That being said, so the players obviously play more aggressively, but there were a lot of, over the years, cheap shots taken at some good players by some dirty players. And that's, I'll say Ravens to Pittsburgh. And that's that, I don't like anything that's going to potentially injure somebody. Yeah. Just out of being spiteful. I don't know how to say it otherwise.
Every team in any sport has that one rivalry that happens with. Miami has the Jets. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that rivalry goes back 50 years. Yeah. So, and Steelers have the Ravens, which used to be the Browns. Remember, the Ravens now were the old Browns.
That's all previous and prior to my maybe recollection, because the Colts were the Baltimore Ravens, Colts. Right? Because Baltimore Colts, they moved, and then what? Yeah,
it used to be Baltimore Colts. They took off to Indianapolis. Then Baltimore didn't have a team. Cleveland used to be coached by Nick Saban, or not Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. Nick Saban was on the staff. John Gruden was on that staff. A lot of good. Holmgren was on that staff. Tom Coughlin was on that staff. They started turning the corner with Belichick as the head coach. They decide they get sold. They get moved to Baltimore, become the Ravens. They fire the whole coaching staff, which ends up with Belichick at the Jets for one day and then to the Patriots. So,
you say one day. Was it literally one day, or like
was literally it was 12 hours?
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. And then so Cleveland was without a team, and then Cleveland went like 5 years, and then the NFL gave them a team back. So so the Browns now are actually an expansion team, considered an expansion team. The original Browns are the Ravens.
Got it.
So it's all bastardized over years. All these teams that people think were there forever. The Chicago Cardinals became the St. Louis Cardinals, became the Arizona Cardinals. The Phoenix Cardinals became the Arizona Cardinals. The LA Rams used to be the Cleveland Rams. So it's all,
Cleveland Rams?
Cleveland Rams were one of the first initial teams in the NFL a long time ago. So, so it all, there's very few teams that are in the same city that they started with. And then you have to go back, even the Los Angeles Chargers now come from San Diego, who came from Los Angeles. They were the Los Angeles Chargers at first. They moved to San Diego, and now they're back home. So, it's all convoluted. And I'm sure most people listening to this have no interest in that at all.
Well, thank you, Professor. And I don't know, and anyone out there can correct me, because I'm not making this as the statement that is only Pittsburgh. But the one thing I really like about Pittsburgh sports are the same colors for all the teams.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that too, actually. Miami tried that with the Marlins. I mean, and if you look at the Marlins, the Miami Marlins, Florida Marlins, however you want to call them, they're Miami now. They started off as Florida Marlins. They're the same basic colors as the Dolphins, but a little bit different. Yeah, I do like that. I wish the Tampa Bay Rays were the same colors as the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't know why they're not, but they're not. So, so that's enough sports talk, right? Enough sports talk. Yeah, I was telling you before the show started that I've been having like some issues lately, like just mental issues, and just trying to work through a lot of stuff. I told you that I haven't really worked out since Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been having just been having some I hate to call it depression, but it's got the earmarks of that, and like we were talking about is that a good way to deal with depression is to go run or go do something.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing in the world when you're dealing with that kind of stuff is going to run and going to work, doing something, even though mentally that it's going to help you.
Yeah.
Been having like headaches, like 3-4 headaches a week now, like waking up with headaches.
Right.
And to the point now that I think it might be time to get this checked, because this does not seem right to me that I should have headaches all the time like this.
Let's eliminate all the simple factors. Mm-hmm. Have you changed anything in your diet?
No. I haven't.
Have you changed any consumption of coffees or caffeinated beverages?
No. Actually, that's what helps my headache is I'll get up and kind of make coffee, and sometimes that helps. The stronger the coffee, the better. So I'll make up a cup of what's it called? Death Wish coffee, or whatever it is. It looks like mud.
I haven't had it, but I think we've discussed it and looked it up on the show. Skull and Crossbones logo or something.
Yeah. It's really good coffee. It's really, really strong. I woke up with one today. I had one really bad yesterday, which caused me to miss the team workout, which is the first one I've missed this year. But I woke up at like 3 o'clock and just my head, like, to the point that you almost feel ill, like not just a headache, but ill.
Yeah.
So about 5:30, I shot the coach a text and said, look, I'm not going to make it. Just don't wait for me. And it didn't go away till almost 3 o'clock. And this is happening where it used to be like every couple weeks, every 2-3 weeks. Now it's happening like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, maybe it's the way I'm sleeping. Maybe my neck's cranking, is weird. I had a hard time sleeping last night. I don't think I fell asleep till like 3 a.m. So I don't know. It's just.
And eliminating or asking the obvious once again, Dr. Rob on call here.
Yeah.
For all in the audience, I'm not really a doctor, and none of this is medical advice. Do you have stuff on your mind that is causing you to stay up? And do you think the lack of sleep is causing? Do you think the lack of sleep is causing you to have the headaches, and it's just a cyclical thing, or is it you're generally concerned health wise? Well,
whenever you're a survivor of cancer, there's always that fear, because once you have it, there's always it's like my doctor told me back in the day is that once you have it, there's always anything that really is out of the ordinary you need to get checked because it's in your system. Even though you're clear, you're more susceptible to it. I will share that my grandfather died it started off kind of this way, and that worries me. Him having vision problems, him having headaches, turned out to be an issue. So he
and for everyone in the audience there, pre-roll, I made the obvious Arnold Schwarzenegger horrible impression from it's not the tumor, and John's like, well, and I'm like, I know, but like you gotta jump in with the joke, and even if it's ill placed. So
I did a little survey thing, and it doesn't seem that is what it is.
Is a BuzzFeed article?
Yeah, as long as BuzzFeed says it's not a tumor, I'm not going to worry about it then, right? But
Something like that.
I think it's just like you said, it's cyclical. You worry about other stresses in your life, which causes you not to sleep, which causes you to have a fitful sleep, which maybe put you in a position while you're sleeping that your head's not in the right position, which is causes you to get a headache, and then it is what it is. And then when you're dealing with headaches all the time, which causes you to get down, and it just, it's on and on and on and on, right?
Right.
So the way to combat that is to, one, be mindful of it, right? And accept it and try to, to me, like some people will say that, I'm too open about this kind of stuff, but to me that it helps talking about it.
Yeah.
Because, and I think people know just from the show, but also from the blog, that I talk about everything. I don't, I'm definitely not a closed box when it comes to this stuff. So, not to the point that I'm going to call out specific people or things like that. But, sometimes you have to look inside and you have to understand that there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean? And there's when this stuff starts happening to me, I start reading everything. That's just how I deal with a lot of stuff. And it was in a book I read, and it's like just plastered on one page, there is nothing wrong with you. And sometimes you have to understand that it's okay to, the dogma, the way people think is to not be selfish. You shouldn't be selfish. But you know what? In reality, there's nothing wrong with being selfish. There's nothing wrong with looking to your own self-interest. There's a difference between being selfish and being selfless, right? So
please tell. And I'm not saying I'm not paying attention. I'm multitasking. I got a thought in the back of my head that I'd like to just finish formulating here to come back with it. And then so tell me how you think that's different.
Being selfish is looking to your own self-interest at the expense of others, right? Mm-hmm. Being selfless is like you're concerned about your own self-interest, but not at the expense of others. Okay, it's like being true to yourself. It's okay to be selfish, to look after your own self-interest. Selfish and selfless don't have to be mutually exclusive, but you have to draw the line where it becomes you being a psychopath, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the difference with being okay, you have to learn to be okay in your own skin. And that's the difference. It's like being selfish it's learning to be okay in your own skin. Being a psychopath is not making a suit out of someone else's skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a blunt way to do it, but obviously you have a family, you being you. Yeah. You have a family. You can't be totally selfish to the point that you're hurting your family. Right. But it's okay if you need to go run for an hour. It's okay to do that.
But let me ask you, by whose definition then are you going? Because some people would view that as selfish to go take that out because that's one more hour that I could be spending blank, at home with the wife, with the baby.
Right. And I think the people that feel that way don't have that. I don't know how to say it. They don't have that in their life, that need in their life to have something of their own. Right. I don't know how to say it right. I'm trying to formulate it and it's not coming out right. There are people that it's all about other people, and they, to the point that they give up their own health and their own well-being. That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help your family if you aren't taking care of yourself too. Mm-hmm. By you taking an hour out of your day, and now I'm talking about the royal you, but it also can pertain to you too. By you taking an hour or 2 hours out of your day to go run and be healthy, you're becoming a better husband and a better father and a better brother and a better friend or whatever it is. That's how I look at that. If I'm constantly giving everything I have to others and not taking care of myself, eventually the system fails. Mm-hmm. And that's just, it's how, and I think people have to learn how to be okay with that, okay with saying I need an hour to myself and not have to worry about, getting crap for it, Yeah. You have to learn how to do that. And people, you have to take, like, you can't accept other people saying what your weaknesses are. You have to learn to say, okay, well, you say this is a weakness, but it's really You learn how to kind of twist that into a strength in a way, whatever weaknesses. If someone says, like I'm told you, I was telling you before the show, but I'm told by a number of people that I can be stubborn. And I know I can be. If I think I'm right about something, I can be very stubborn.
You?
Yeah. Yeah, believe it or not. I can be, I can be very stubborn, but when there's a book, Sarah Knight has a book out right now, but in it is like a great saying about that is that, stubborn, a cast iron gnome is a pain in the ass to mow around, but it doesn't go anywhere in the storm. Right. That's how she sees someone that's stubborn.
Right.
So yeah, he's a pain in the ass. Yeah, he is a pain in the ass. But you know what? When the chips are down, the person
it's there.
Move. Yeah, he's going to be there, or she's going to be there, because they're stubborn, right? They're not going to let it go.
It reminds me, and this is way not off topic, but just random aside, and forgive me. It's the Friends episode.
Yeah.
Do you know which one I'm referencing?
No, which one? I've seen them all, so.
We've all seen them all, and it's the one where Ross is talking. Phoebe says something, and he says something about evolution, and she's like, "Well, it's just not there, and it's just that." She doesn't believe in evolution, and he's just like dumbfounded, and he's just like, and then a little while later, he does something. He's like, "Look," and he's doing something, and he's like, "Opposable thumbs," and then he comes back in and he lays out these fossils, and he's all into it, and he's just so dead set. And she's like, "Hey, listen, as dead set as you are, and can you not this?" And she makes this like little 2-minute speech, and basically he's like, is there nothing in you that could like at least bend a little bit to like let, maybe think that there's some other possibility to this? And he's all like sad, and he's like, "Well, I guess." And then she just looks at him and she's like, "Well, now I can't trust her," or something. Like, you, at least before, you had conviction, but now I can't believe anything you say.
Exactly. At least you stood up for something, right? And now you're being wishy-washy, right? It's like it's one of those catch-22s, right? Mm-hmm. Recent relationship I had would tell me the same thing. It's like, you're
with
stubborn.
Doritos.
You're stubborn. You don't want to. You don't bend. You don't blah 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 blah. But then as soon as you start to bend, well, now you're being wishy-washy. Okay, well, what do you want from me?
And this, and if she is listening to this episode, I love you, darling. And it's a conversation that my wife and I always have, because when I say invariably we get to a point in a very heated, loud conversation that the neighbors can hear, and it's whenever if I'm not being stubborn or regimented and sticking to something, I should say it this way. When I'm into training and eating or whatever, a month in, it is just what it is, and that's life. But the first week or two of making those adjustments are always, there's friction. But I use that for hobbies, because she's always like, "And you always get into something and then you fall out of it." I'm like, "Yeah, but like the reason I fall out of it is because you basically say it's that or me, or you're spending too much time doing that, or like I said, there's only so much time in the day." So literally, you walk in my garage, and I've shared this before, motorcycle, bicycle, kayak, several that, I got my fishing poles for trout, and as well as going up to Canada for my family fishing trip. I have a rifle, I have my bow, I have, my pistol, I have, woodworking tools, I have my outdoor tools, my lawn to take care of, I have everything that I can get into, and have gotten into some different hobbies at various times. But once again, there's only so many hours in the day. So it comes down to what's going to take priority right now. Am I going to go out and spend 2 hours fishing, or am I going to go get in the run or the ride? Well, the run or ride's going to take precedent, because I'm training in the triathlons and so forth at this point, But as I said, it circles back to, she always says, "Hey, you jump into things, you jump into something and then you let it fade." Well, I let it fade because it upsets her. But, and that's where men, women, or, it could be man, woman. Anytime you're in a relationship with somebody, you're going to see something one way. I see that as I'm giving something up. She looks at it as I'm abandoning something. So when I try to get into anything new, it's just another flash in the pan that I'm getting into. You got to be cognizant of that as well, because she's not incorrect in saying that, hey, if I'm going to go do an hour, literally at 60 minutes of running, there's a few minutes getting ready, and there's a few minutes at the end cooling down and then showering and whatever. And you know what I mean? Hey, there's time to, be a parent and, help cook dinner and clean the house and all that other stuff that needs to be accounted for as well.
Well, isn't that just it's a matter of organizing your day, right? I mean, there's I was talking to somebody today about that, or texting somebody today about that, and they were saying that their spouse, works all the time, and when they get home, they just want to relax. They don't have the time to be healthy, right? And I said, really? They don't have the time to be healthy? I can understand if you're working 12, 14-hour days and you don't have the time to go get on a bike.
May I ask now, interject just for clarification. You're talking to, and I'll make it up, husband, and husband says wife works, and wife says wife does not have time to be healthy?
It's the other way around, but yeah.
Okay, so whatever.
I'm talking to wife, and they're saying husband works 14-hour days, and when he gets home, he's too tired. He wants to relax. I get that. I do get that. But my point to her was that, and of course now he's getting unhealthy and he's gaining weight. And my point to her is that, okay, there's no time to maybe cycle or go run. He's too tired. I get that. He's not too tired to eat right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to say, I'd like to take the time. Yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity here to segregate and I should say solidify what I believe, whether or not John believes it, and who in the audience agrees with us or not. I believe the majority of weight loss and or gain is diet. It is not exercise. I do think exercise is good and healthy for you, and you should do it. But I think most of what you're going to gain or lose is going to be what you eat.
And that's what I told her, and she is a healthy person, and she does put a lot of effort not as much into training like she used to, because she's school full-time, things like that, and has a family, but she puts a lot of effort into her nutrition. So she knows this 80-20, that's what I'm saying. It's 80% nutrition. It's the 80-20 rule. 80% nutrition. It takes zero time to eat healthy. Okay, there's nothing like you can get home tired as you want to be. Nothing about you being tired means you're picking up that bag of Doritos. There's no correlation there. So I call bullshit on that one. So you can be tired, I get it, but that doesn't mean you have to eat like crap. So you're going to get
I'm not
healthier.
in disagreement with you. I will just say it slightly differently. And for those that listen to Vinny, this will be like one of the few times I'm ever like, he's wrong and he's got to stop saying it. He continues to go on that rant about how, you could fry an egg in the same amount of time that you could cook, that you can make a bowl of cereal. You can't. Try it.
You can't. No.
I can pour a bowl of cereal in 37 seconds. It takes, several minutes to cook the egg. That said, if you take the time, and you and I have talked about it, like the Instapot, you don't even need an Instapot. You can boil eggs to make hard-boiled eggs. But, literally the Instapot, put it on the counter, put the eggs in 20 minutes later. And I'm not saying you cook them for 20, but by the time it heats up, it cooks them for 10, it cools down, you put them in the water, and then you can peel them maybe 20, 25 minutes total.
Right. And you're not standing there doing it either.
No, and that's why, once exactly, you hit a button, you put them in. It takes them literally a minute to put them in. Then once they're done, takes maybe a minute to put them in the cold water, and then let's even say 5 minutes to peel them if you're for a dozen, which they peel incredibly easily. But once again, let's just say you do 12 eggs and you eat 2 at a meal. You know what I mean? If I'm frying eggs, I'm eating 2 eggs. So if I have hard-boiled eggs, that's 2. So I just made 6 days worth of food in total time, actual touching them, 7 minutes, less than 10, I'll say.
Yeah.
And that's where you can start prioritizing and doing those things. And, I don't want to say tips and tricks, but I have certain things that work sometimes and don't work others for me. You know what I mean? And but you're right. It's a conscious choice to go home and pick up the bag of Doritos. I mean, like yesterday, and I can go into how I was off the rails a little bit the last few days. Yesterday I was moving some furniture around. It was literally getting on noon, and I kind of like got a little bit hungry, and I'm like, man, I really need to eat something. And I grabbed a pack of crackers my wife had sitting there. There was a bag of carrots in the fridge. Could have grabbed them just as easy. I didn't. You know what I mean? That was a choice that I made. Shouldn't have, but either way.
No, right, exactly right. So, I mean, that kind of gets into one of the things I wanted to talk about today was, and I called it, I think I sent it to you, food for thought or mind for food or something like that.
Yeah.
That when I find it harder when I'm sitting here, you know, with nobody in this apartment but me, not eating crap, you know, obviously I can't eat it if I didn't buy it, right?
Yeah.
But I was actually searching for a way to make crap out of the good stuff that I had the other day. So, the methods for like getting through a craving like that. I mean, and we've all had cravings, and we know that sometimes cravings can get out of hand to the point that, you know, you're going to be getting in your car and going to get something. So how do you, what are some tips for you that you'd use to get through, you know, that need for ice cream or that need for a chocolate chip cookie or whatever it is? So, personally, I will tell you that having a cup of coffee works for me. You know, it will quell it. Obviously, getting outside and going for a run or a walk, that's going to do it, but that's not always going to happen at 2:00 in the morning, right? Music works for me, getting my mind off it somehow. So I've been known to like plug into my iPhone, like laying in bed and just like blasting 80s metal into my head just to get through it and get, you know, and things. So, I mean, what are some of the things you do? Do you have any others other than that?
Well, so I'm going to dance down both sides of the aisle on this one, and just for transparency. And so the other day, when right after our last podcast went up, it's funny, and I didn't even know which one was in the last one or whatever. Vanessa in the group had messaged me and then said, "I guess I shouldn't go eat this Sheetz hot dog based on your newsletter that went out, crap in, crap out, whatever." You know, and my response, quite frankly, to her, and now keep in mind, different for everyone. You know, she is literally the aquatic instructor at the YMCA and teaches multiple classes a week in addition to her Ironman training. So she could, there's the old saying, you can't outrun a bad diet. She eats very well 99% of the time because she lives on a farm, and they, like, her family or her husband's family actually does most of the locals farmer markets and everything. So 99% of her diet is as clean as can be. So I basically said, hey, yeah, you can do what the hell you want. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't think one hot dog is going to kill you, you know, type of deal. And if you have a craving, some things are better. And in my mind, I would say just to get rid of the craving. And I fell prey to that. I'm going to say 2-3 times this weekend, and I dealt with it 3 different ways depending on what it was. So there's a local restaurant a town or two over, and they have, when I say really good wing sauce, like they have it's called Moon sauce, because it, long and short is, it used to be Moon's Inn, and then it became something else, and then it became what it is, this current restaurant name, but they pay homage back to that with that name, but it's on their own little special blend. I don't know what's in it. 99% sure it's not no sugar, no grain. You know, there's a sweetness to it. There's got to be something in it, okay? But instead of going and having 24 wings and, you know, pub fries and all the stuff that I would have had, let's say 5 years ago, now I go and I get a they call it the buffalo chicken salad, but you can get it with any of the wing sauces. So I will eat the salad with the, you know, no other, you know, dressings, just what comes on the grilled chicken. You know what I mean? So I'm still having a chicken salad, which is much better than me for what I would have had. But in order to, you know, have that craving and take care of it with just a little bit. Okay. In addition, though, like yesterday, you know, I wanted ice cream. Like, I wanted like real ice cream. Like, I didn't want any of the, you know, paleo stuff. Like, because there's the little tricks that we've done in the past. When I say the paleo ice cream, it's like where you get your blender, you throw, and I forget the exact ratio, but it's a little bit of vanilla into it. You put a little bit of you get a can of the coconut I want to say milk. I don't know, Trader Joe's can of coconut something. I don't know what it is. And you pour that in, and then like 2 or 3 cups of frozen berries. Blend it up. It helps take care of that sweetness craving, and the whole thing has maybe like 15 calories. There's like nothing in it once you actually break it down, and that helps. Yesterday, I wanted real ice cream. And that being said, I went out and just went to the local dairy, instead of going and buying a half a gallon, which would have probably been cheaper, and keeping it in my fridge, because then it's there, and then I'm gonna continue to have a spoon here and a spoon there. But I went out, I bought, I got 2-3 scoops of ice cream, and I sat back and I just enjoyed it. It is what it is. And that's the first time I've had ice cream now in probably 2.5 months. I used to have it every 3 days. So
I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and that being said, I'm not going back to, well, I worked out so I can have it. But, I did what I do, 9 miles on Thursday, 6 miles on Friday, 6 miles on Saturday, and I just did 10 miles today. I think I'm okay. I don't think I overate my calorie in, calorie out, if you're going by that, which I don't. But, hey, 3 scoops of ice cream this week. I think it's okay. But I'm not having it every single day. And it's one of those things where you said I'm going to say you occupy your mind with music. I do very similar. And that is, if I'm moving, like right now I'm talking to you, I'm not paying any attention. Right. But if I was to, if I was to just be sitting here, I'm at my wife's office. There's, candies here that she has for her clients and stuff. Sitting still, I snack mindlessly for no reason. So I purposely try to keep my mind busy or keep physically busy. You know what I mean? Just always moving, trying to just, if cleaning or rearranging stuff, or, go for a walk or any of that type of stuff is what I feel works absolutely the best for me, because then I'm not around anything and I'm occupied with something else. But go back to like when we're watching television or something at night. That's where, like, when I said, hey, I got carrots in the fridge, I go back 10 years ago, I'd sit there and mindlessly eat a whole bag of chips, a whole pan of brownies, whole thing of cookies, you name it. First off, it was in the house, so I just try to keep that stuff out of my house. But second is, if I'm sitting here, I'll go to the fridge, I'll get a really big glass of nice cold ice water, and I'll get like, a handful of carrots. And the last thing is, if I'm going to be eating something where I used to take a whole handful of something, whatever it is, let's just say Skittles as an example, you know what I mean? You can pop 40 of them things in your mouth at once and chew them all up, right? But if you actually sit there and eat them just one at a time, you're probably going to get tired of eating them halfway through what you would have ate had you just taken them handfuls at a time. Yeah. So I try to take, if I'm having an indulgence, have smaller bites or smaller portions of it to hopefully eat less of it.
Yeah, and for somebody that is when I'll go back to what I was saying, it's like, obviously, keep moving, things like that. But if you're dealing with what I was talking about in the beginning, that there's just nothing mentally that's going to get you out the door to go move. Mm-hmm. Now you're in a loop, right? And what's Andrew and I used to talk about this a lot too. Is like, there are people that can have 2 Skittles and fine, and that's enough for them. And that's enough for them. I can't. If there's a bag of Skittles in my presence and I start on them, they're going to be gone.
Yep.
Even if I take like 5 of them and walk away, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Because once that kicks in, I want to. There's part of me that wants to get into like this macro nutrition thing right now, and I could say it really quick. Is that, your body has 3 types of fuel, right? Glucose, protein, and lipids. Sugar, protein, fat, right? Mm-hmm. So the preferred fuel, and I'll say this, the preferred fuel for your brain is glucose. But if you're not eating sugar, that doesn't mean your brain's not going to get the sugar it needs. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you see a lot of, especially the old school nutritionists, that's what they'll throw at you. Your brain needs sugar to survive. That's a fact. It does. Doesn't mean you have to give it sugar. Your body is going to make the sugar. If you cut off if you cut off that glucose stream to your brain, your body's going to switch over. It's going to turn protein. It's going to leach it out of the muscle and send it to your brain as sugar, right? Or it's going to take the lipids, the fat that's on your body. Your liver's going to change that to ketones, and your ketones will take the place of the sugar for your brain. And your brain will. That's how you go into ketosis. That's how when you're doing ketone testing. That's why you'll have the ketones in your urine. It's because your liver's now breaking down that fat, and that's how you lose weight.
Yeah.
Period. Okay. So you're cutting off that glucose. So I think people need to really get out of that mindset, especially one of the biggest issues I had with when I was going through my coaching certification was that they still teach that. They teach that. Mm-hmm. And in order to get certified, I had to go along with that.
Yeah.
I have to answer those questions the right way. When I don't believe
right way, meaning the way that they wanted you to learn the material.
Right. Exactly right.
Okay.
So,
just for clarification, John.
Yeah, it's not the right way, but
to some people it might be. But it's what the those teaching the certification view it as the right way.
Right. But that how I am. It's like I like to base everything that I have on at least some kind of science backing. If the science says this, then I'll tend to believe it. If it doesn't say that, and it's just your belief, then I have a hard time with it. And and it goes back to like I'll be stubborn about it. I'll say, well, the science doesn't say that. It's like the flat earthers, the science doesn't support this. How can you believe this? So, then all the flat earthers that listen to us are now gone, but it just doesn't support it. And it just drives me insane. And where is your proof for this? And, and people, like I said, people with that old school thinking is thinking your brain needs sugar to survive. That's a fact. It does. But you don't have to feed it the sugar. Your body can only hold 2,000 calories worth of carbs at a time, which is like 400 grams or somewhere around there, right? So
here comes math.
Here comes math. So you're burning about 1 gram. So we're going to get into it. You're burning about 1 gram a minute. So you're burning about 60 grams of carbs an hour, 60 to 90, depending on your fitness level, right? If you're feeding your body more than that while you're training, guess what? Especially if you're not training, but say you're training and your body is in that 60 gram range and you're taking in 80 grams of carbs. That's going to sit in your gut and you're going to have problems. That's what all these people, I tell a story about back in 2012, 2013, one of the women that were running with us, a team in training, was always, every time we ran, she had GI issues every time.
Yeah.
But she would down 3 packets of goo before she even started running. It was obvious why she was having this GI, but if you told her that, it was like you shot her mother.
Yeah.
No, I need this. I need the sugar. I need this. I was told I have to have the sugar. That's why you're having the GI issues. And she would not let it go, to the point that I just had to stop talking to her about it.
Yeah.
Because, she's not going to listen. And then on top of that, if you're not working out and you're eating, you are burning 1 gram of carbs an hour and you're not working out, that sugar you're putting in your system is getting turned into fat. Mm-hmm. And that's how you're gaining weight. And, the government is strong here. They will, like we were talking about before the show started, they will give all the sugar lobby and the wheat lobby and all these people, it doesn't matter if it's hurting you or not, because all the money's there. They're going to keep feeding you this crap. And one of the things I want to talk about was soy. The soy is just, there's, and I don't think a lot of people know that there's, a lot of people do know this, but a lot of the lay people don't know there's 2 types of soy. There's fermented and unfermented soy. Okay?
Yes.
Fermented soy is like miso and tempeh and stuff like that. So, and then there's unfermented. Unfermented soy is the stuff that you find in protein bars and protein shakes and cereal and all the other stuff you eat in the world. and it's the worst stuff for you. That unfermented soy, shall I go through the list?
Please.
Please. So, unfermented soy causes inadequate protein absorption. Okay, that's the first thing. So, all of these bodybuilders that are drinking these soy-based protein shakes are actually hurting themselves.
Come on, bro. Don't be like that.
Oh, how much you bench? Allergies. They actually break down, and 89% of U.S. soy is genetically modified. So that's causing. I go back to when I was growing up, the 60s and the 70s. In the 80s I was in the Navy. So let's go to the 60s and 70s. I don't remember anybody having a food allergy when I was a kid. Not one person.
Yeah.
Why do all these kids have food allergies all of a sudden, including my own son?
Yeah.
Okay, who has a milk allergy? Why is this all of a sudden happening? Thyroid dysfunction. You start coming. One doctor in this article I was reading said that his clients would come to him complaining of hair loss and dry, flaky skin. And then when he starts digging into it, it's because they're eating soy.
Mm-hmm.
That causes that. It shuts your thyroid down. Now, I don't have a thyroid, but
well, you're good then.
Well, I'm good. All right, Mr. Moore. You remember that, huh?
Yes, I do, John.
But those are my symptoms because I have like dry skin on my elbows and things like that, and it's due to that, But the issues that really bothered me is like 20 to 25% of infants that drink formula drink the soy-based versions of formula. Now, I don't know what your son drinks, but 20 to 25%.
Right now, quietly, and I will let you know.
No one consumes more soy per kilogram of body weight than an infant does. Now, what does this unfermented soy do to infants? There's a study, I think, done in 2004, I believe it was, that shows it reduces the proliferation of intestinal cells, which means the baby's not getting the nutrition it needs. It's not getting into their body. There's an influx of phytoestrogens, which initiates two things. In women, in girl babies, females, it induces premature puberty. And in boys, it stops the production of testosterone. And it can be seen. And some of these things, it's amazing because then you can see this stuff happening. In 1920, the average age of a girl going through puberty was between 16 and 17 years old. Do you know what the average age was in last year, in 2017?
Much younger than that, based on going to high school and wondering what's happened since I've been there.
It's even worse. 12 to 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for a fact because I know of a girl that's 11 years old that's just went into puberty, just started. 11 years old. I know my sister was, don't want to embarrass her, but she was older than that, so you can see it happening. Why are there so many men all of a sudden having low T problems when they're grown?
Yeah.
All of a sudden. You didn't hear about this before.
No.
And it's just like, but you know what it is? Nutrition is almost like a fundamental religion to people. It's like if they believe something, they are not letting it go. And you've been told by people the soybean industry, the milk industry, what mammal beside human drinks milk after they're weaned? Why do you think we need milk?
Lobby.
The lobby tells you because they've been telling you this for 50, 60 years. Where's the science behind it? You can get vitamin D by going outside. You don't need to drink milk to get vitamin C. You don't need to drink milk to get calcium.
Now, while not disagreeing with you, John, because I and just a short ramble here, I apologize, y'all. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I'm not as much of, and I don't want to incorrectly quote it or say like Whole30, paleo, whatever, where they say no dairy, okay? Because I would go to the counter argument when I say I like to look at things that make sense. Let's go back, regardless of what you believe, evolution, creation, whatever, and just say, what's the year, 2018 right now? So let's go back to the year 1, okay? If we're hunting, gathering type of society at that point, and you go out and you make a kill, you're going to eat everything that would be in that animal. You're not going to get to the mammary glands and say, oh, I'm not going to eat that. You know what I mean? So but I do not disagree with you that it's, not trying to sound vulgar, but you didn't have humans running up and sucking on the teats of the cows in year 1. That wasn't practice. That's factory farming stuff and the antibiotics and all that other stuff that goes into currently doing it, and it's all marketing that you need a big glass of milk and you need this, you need that, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Yeah, I do not agree that we need as much dairy in our diets that the standard American diet has, and I have actually made it an effort to reduce it in mine because I don't feel that I have that much adverse effects of having it. But when I first started coming onto this way of eating, I know that less carb, I should say, less sugar, less grain. I found myself eating blocks of cheese, like a whole block of cheese in 2 days. That's too much, that's for anyone, I believe, so I've cut it back, a piece of cheese on a cheeseburger, fine. A little bit of creamer in your coffee, fine. But I can't tell you, except for whenever we're cooking, the last time we've had milk in our fridge. You know what I mean? I don't sit down and have a glass of milk. We don't have it in the fridge. Right. So, anyways, sorry.
I have almond milk in my fridge.
Why? What's the joke? What TV show? What was it? Where are the nipples on an almond? Yeah. What the hell is almond milk?
You know why I have almond milk is because I don't like water as a base for a protein shake or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Why
it's too weird.
Shake, John?
Well, I don't really, but in the odd time that I have it, I like to have it on me, and it keeps. I end up throwing it away more often than not. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying I don't have any dairy. I have almond milk in my fridge. I have almond milk and water and cheese. Cheese. That's all that's in my fridge, man.
That's all you need, John. And real quick, my son, we use Similac Pro Advanced. My wife is literally at Target, potentially getting Target brand stuff. The last time we tried to switch him from it, he got sick. And so he's been on this for, I'd say, 10 months now. And I do see soy as an ingredient, although this stuff is non-GMO, and it is the 5th ingredient behind non-fat milk, lactose, whey protein concentrate, high oleic, safflower oil, then soy oil, then coconut oil. So
it's soy oil. It's not. So how do you get oil from soy?
I don't know that answer, but it's when I say it this way. Now, granted, I'm going to go back to its marketing. I'm assuming they have a contract with the hospital. It's what they fed him in the hospital, in the NICU, and as such, it's when we left that we kind of had a couple of different sample packs. We did try another brand, and once again he got sick, literally sick, throwing up, couldn't keep it down. So this is what he's able to keep down. And forgive me for sharing too much. If turn off for the next minute if you don't like it. They try to, and I don't mean this in a bad way, brainwash you. Breast is best, and it just wasn't able to happen with my wife. She tried hard, it didn't happen, and that's why.
And sometimes sometimes that happens with my ex when Zach was born. She did breastfeed and. She got an infection, like an infected duct or something like that, and very painful. Actually, it looked awful.
Yeah.
So he had to go on. Formula as well.
Yeah. But I'm also going to say, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but we also, and I'm going to name a couple names here. I want my kid to be as good as Ben and Jess's kid. No, and this makes sense in a second. right now he just turned 10 months old, or Connor did, my son. But that said, is 2-3 times a day he's getting, when I say real food, and a couple things we try to be big on, we're trying to set good habits. So he'll have a bottle in the morning, and like half a bottle. Then my wife does make him like a little kind of oatmeal, something else, mixing
like a rice cereal thing.
Yeah, type of deal, just to get something in him. And then we, he goes to daycare, and we buy the little Aldi. Actually, Aldi's has the little squeezy packs of food, baby food. And they're and they're great. Just ingredients will be like bananas, or banana, kale, apple, or whatever. So we get those. But once again, too, is when I say we're not lazy parents, a lot of people just say later give them to your kids, and that ruins their teeth because they're sucking on them and they're hitting the teeth. But anyways, we actually squirt it into the bowl and then scoop it out of the bowl, so he's getting used to using a spoon. Daycare does the same thing, so he'll have that stuff, real food for lunch. He'll have other bottles through the day, real food for dinner. And that's why I say Ben and Jess, when we went out, their kid was maybe 14 months, 18 months old. Literally, it's funny. When I say the kid eats what they eat, we were sitting down having dinner with them, and it was grass-fed beef from their farm. It was beets from the garden, something else. And that's what the kid ate, you know what I mean? It was cut up. And so at Thanksgiving, Connor had ham, and we go out to eat, and he gets little bites of what, you know what I mean? We'll cut it up real small. And he, already at 10 months, he's getting little bites of, whatever's on our plates. We try to get as much real food into him as early as possible.
Let me say also that food that you're giving him, the squeezy food, is really good on ultra runs.
I've heard that.
Yeah. So I used it. They're really good, actually. They squish flat, and they get in your vest, and you have a lot of. As long as you get the ones that are, like you said, are the natural ingredients.
Yeah, and
they're really good. They're really good to have. Like the banana one is outstanding. Yeah,
and I said my wife has been fantastic about reading all these labels to make sure that there's nothing else in them for him, especially.
Well, the reason I got on the soy thing was that I was watching TV yesterday, and they had like this, I guess just a run. It wasn't really a like days on end, but a little run of like 5 of the old Mike Rose show, Dirty Jobs.
Yeah.
If you ever watched that, love that show. And it was one where he was actually making soy. So he went to a soy, and it showed the whole process. And they even said it on there. It's like he said on it was that why does everybody think soy is like unfermented soy is okay? Clever marketing. Somebody got smart and said that it was healthy. They got the Heart Association involved in it, who actually had to pull they asked for it to be pulled as a heart healthy thing because it actually showed to not be heart healthy. So it goes back. We've talked about this before. It just goes back to be a little bit more discerning when you hear these things. I mean, don't. Especially when the government's putting it out, you got to look into that stuff. I mean, I'm not a Big Brother's watching type of guy, but and believe in that. But follow the money is the basic line. There's a reason why all this stuff like that you can't buy a hot dog bun without milk being in it, without non-fat milk being in the hot dog bun. It doesn't need to be there.
Yeah,
and. There's a reason why it's in everything. There's a reason why, corn, high fructose corn syrup is in everything. There's a reason for that, and it can be tracked to the money. And the government have no concern for your health. They don't. It's whoever gives them the most money. So just be a little bit more discerning about what you're putting into your body. That's. I'll leave it at that. So we're at about an hour, so we can leave it at that, right?
Let me. I jumped
something
in.
else.
Well, I jumped in on you a couple times there, and this is just a slight aside. Because I know I was kind of dominating, and I apologize. Didn't mean to cut you off on a couple of those things. And this will sound funny, but it all will make sense here in about a minute and 30 seconds or so. I read a book and I recommend it, and I'm not one of these like I have a bunker full of AKs and all that type of stuff in my basement or anything. Okay, but the book is 1 second after, and without ruining the whole thing, I recommend you go pick it up and read it, and it's intriguing. It's an intriguing read because basically what it is, not ruining anything. It starts off with a terroristic attack that sends out an EMP, which is for those electromagnetic pulse. That's like if you've watched Ocean's 11, where they shut down Vegas. Okay, yep. and it fries all electronics and hardware in the I'm gonna say world, United States, wherever it is. So if the lights turned off right now, computers don't work, there's no electricity, what are you gonna do? And a fictional story, obviously, that goes through it. So a lot of times I go back to, and this is just when you're saying follow the money and government and all this stuff. If you pick up a label and I told somebody once, somebody said, well, hey, what should I be looking for on a label? And I said, for the best thing is the biggest problem, the food you're eating shouldn't have a label. You should be able to look at it like that's an avocado. Right. That's a steak. That is fill in the blank. Okay. So a big thing that I would say is when you're looking at all this stuff and, whether it's government and follow the money and what's where, the healthiest stuff, and I don't want to misquote him, was it Mark Allen or was it Mark Sisson? I don't know. And I don't want to completely butcher it, but it's, eat real food, mostly plant or something, and if it is in moderation, mostly plant. And that's it. If you eat veggies and fruit, fruits and veggies, once again, marketing, eat your fruits and veggies. Fruits and veggies aren't the same. Fruits are much higher in sugar. So you need to eat mostly vegetables. You need to have, if you're having meats, you want to have fresh caught or you want to have, grass fed, or, if you can raise the chicken in your backyard, eat the eggs and then eat the chicken, you know what I mean? That's going to be substantially healthier for you than anything you're going to get out there. So like my thought, and like I said, go read the book just for something, just to not worry you, but you have something to do, but also sit back and think about it. If the lights went out today, the stuff that you can go in the store 2 years from now and eat off the shelf, if it's that shelf stable, you shouldn't be eating it. But if you can grow it in your backyard or your neighbor can, you're probably okay.
Yep. There's actually a television show a while ago called Revolution that's exactly what happened.
I watched that as well. Yeah. And then I read a book as well that was Evolution, which is just, I thought it was going to be, because it looked very similar, and it was that book was terrible. The show was interesting.
The show started off interesting. It got awful.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Yeah. It got more into mystical stuff like the second or third season. The first season was outstanding.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Walking Dead's along the same line. They don't have, not the same reason, but they don't have electricity. So what have they been eating?
Yeah.
The funny thing about Walking Dead to me is that they're still fat people.
Yeah.
How are there still big people?
Well, they found the Twinkie truck that was on the side of the road.
Well, that was in Zombieland. The movie Zombieland, remember? That's
I never saw that. I didn't. Oh, yeah. I just being smart. Sorry, John.
In the movie Zombieland, Woody Harrelson is one of the main characters, and that's all he's obsessed with, finding Twinkies. And he finds a Hostess truck that's off the side of the road, and he goes down to it, and it's not full of Twinkies, it's full of snowballs. and it pisses him off.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's fun. It's a zombie movie, but it's a funny one. It's really funny. It's like the number one rule of Zombieland is cardio.
You got to be faster than everyone else.
And it shows him, like, the first scene is that what's his name? You know the actor. He was a kid actor. He played Lex Luthor in the Superman movie, the last Superman movie.
Didn't see it. Don't know.
Esmond. So, but it shows him is that he tries to get in a car. He can't get in a car. He runs a big loop around. The zombies chasing him. He gets back to the car. He tries the car again. He takes off again. He says, because he says so it has these like rules, and they'll pop up on the screen. Rule number 1 is cardio.
That's funny.
Rule number 47, always check the back seat.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's a good movie. You should check it out. But
I might have to put that on the list. And that made me think of one other thing. I don't even know if the app still exists. There used to be an app called Zombies Run. Like Zombies Run.
It does. It still exists. And I
no
love
one's
that app.
tried it. It's very and the long and the short is you turn it on and you can add a music playlist or whatever. But basically, you're in a post-apocalyptic zombie world, and how you get your supplies is they have runners. I think you're runner number 6, and you go out, and they're like, okay, runner number 6, get ready, because they're communicating with you via headsets to let you know that zombies are coming. So you're out and you're just picking up, and it'll be like picked up Band-Aids or something, and you're picking up stuff for your little civilization
as you're running.
Yes.
You're running.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're gonna be like, "Look, there's some zombies," and you got to outrun them. So it's like a little interval workout, and you got to outrun them, and you can hear them like when they're getting closer. There's this like,
doesn't it freak you out?
Yes,
you know it's not real, but it freaks you out. You can hear them coming after you.
Yep, and then you got to outrun them.
And it's like, oh, he's catching you, move faster, and it'll go by your pace whether you beat the zombie or the zombie catches you.
Yeah, and if the zombie catches you, you don't die, but you lose all the supplies you picked up.
You lose all the supplies, right? So
yeah, it's a neat little spin on a game.
That was around back in 11 and 12 when I started. I used to use it all the time.
Yeah,
but it's a good, like you said, it's a good interval workout.
Yep.
All right, man. That's episode 106. Remember to go to the Facebook group, teamE4E. Facebook.com/teamE4E or Facebook.com/groups/teamE4E and request to join. Go to iTunes, Podbean, look for Endurance for Everyone, leave us a review, and do us a favor, share the Facebook group and share the podcast with your other groups that are on Facebook, and let's get the word out. We're growing a little bit, but we have goals for this year, and we're still a long way from them. So
one day at a time, John.
One day at a time. All right. So until next week, we'll episode 106 is done.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening to the Endurance for Everyone podcast. If you have comments or questions for the show, send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And remember, swim calm, bike strong, and run steady.